I'm Jordan Hatfield. This is Faster Film Critic. Today on the show, we talk Blazing Saddles with Kolter and Chase Fugel. Blazing Saddles is a 1974 Western comedy directed by Mel Brooks, starring Cleavon Little, Gene Wilder, and Slam Pickens. If you're Black, Chinese, Native American, Mexican, Korean, Jewish, Irish, German, Japanese, female, gay, religious, or at all sensitive to the degradation of minority groups, this film will sufficiently offend. But if you can tolerate some unjustifiable, old-time, politically incorrect racial comedy, then get in. We are going cinephiling. Guys, I cannot wait to talk Blazing Saddles.
Yeah. Where are all the white women at?
We should have invited some white women on this podcast for this episode.
Oh, man.
Guys, this movie was a trip.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Do you think this movie could be made today?
Absolutely not.
No, I don't think so.
In fact, it was barely made in 1974.
No, really?
Warner Brothers went to Mel Brooks and said there are several scenes that we will not allow in this movie. Fortunately or unfortunately, depending on how you look at it.
Yeah.
But Mel Brooks' contract gave him final say. So at the end, when the executives would come to him and say, we don't like this scene or this part or these words, you got to cut them. He'd be like, okay. But he left him in, and there was nothing that Warner Brothers could do about it. He had final say. Warner Brothers particularly didn't like the use of the N-word. They didn't like the fart scenes.
Sure.
And they didn't like it when Mongo punched the horse.
Everybody likes farts.
Well, Mel Brooks certainly did because he kept him in.
Yeah. You know, when you don't care what people think, good things can happen. And I'm not saying be reckless with that concept. But when you got a vision and you know what you're trying to say, and this movie says it very well, if you're paying attention, you can make a film that's massively entertaining and yet has something very important to say.
So what did this film say, Kolter? What was its message?
We talked about how this movie couldn't be made today. I think that's kind of a strange concept, given that this movie, if you've actually seen it, and if you actually pay attention to what it's saying, it might be one of the strongest anti-racism movies of all time.
Yeah.
Not only do I agree with that, but Mel Brooks wrote the film out of anger at white corruption, racism, and Bible-thumping bigotry.
Interesting.
That was his inspiration for this film.
Well, it shines through.
I liked how it wasn't really anger that shined through. It wasn't an angry film at all. It wasn't trying to fire people up. It was just saying, wow, look at how stupid these racist people are.
Or how stupid people are in general, yeah.
Burton Fillion, which he played Lyle in the film.
Okay.
He was very uncomfortable with his use of the N-word in the script.
Okay.
And he really struggled to say it on set. And both Cleavon Little, who played the sheriff, and Richard Pryor, who, by the way, was a screenwriter in this movie.
Yes.
Both said, man, if you say this word to us in any other context, we're going to fists.
Yeah, we're going to.
But in this movie, it's for comedy, and don't worry about it. We're not offended by it.
Yeah. I think Richard Pryor was actually considered for the role of Bart in this too, but I don't know what happened.
Do you know why he didn't get the role?
No.
Because of his prior arrests with alcohol. So they couldn't hire him. So they brought him in as a screenwriter and hired Cleavon Little.
Okay, interesting.
I'm not going to lie. I had never seen this movie before, ever.
Really?
This was my first time seeing Blazing Saddles.
That's kind of a shock.
I know, right? And I was completely caught off guard by the language.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not one to get offended by language.
Sure.
You can say whatever you want and I'm not going to be offended.
Yeah.
Except for when it comes to racial slurs. I don't like them.
Yeah.
I think they're highly offensive. They make me uncomfortable.
Right.
They started flying in this movie, and in the context of comedy, it just was uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I mean, I was like, at some parts, like, do I laugh here or do I not laugh here? Do you want to know what made it even worse?
What's that?
I watched it with my mom.
Oh, great.
I didn't know what
Good
we were
pick.
getting into.
Yeah.
I was like, Mom, do you want to watch Blazing Saddles? She's like, sure.
Sure.
We
What's that?
throw it on. Yeah. Her chin drops. Within the first 30 seconds of this film, they've offended black people. They've offended Native American people. They've offended female people within the first 30 seconds.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, uh-oh, here we go.
Yeah. 1974, this movie came out. Not that far removed from the civil rights movement. So, racial tensions were arguably higher then than they are now. Begs the question if people back then were wincing in the audience, going, oh, God, oh, good, yeah. Clutching their pearls, loosening their collars, like, oh, what do we get ourselves into here?
The opening scene with the opening music, I thought was so cool. And for some reason, tell me if you guys experienced this.
Yeah.
The music and the font and the colors on the screen, the title cards and everything, reminded me of Quentin Tarantino.
Oh, very much so. Yeah.
Did you
Absolutely.
get that too?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I didn't see that when watching it, but yeah, I see it now.
Yeah, I thought, wow, this feels strangely Tarantino
Oh,
in
yeah.
some ways.
Something about movies and music, man. They're always, I don't want to say derivative, but they're always inspired by something, and you never know, like, what came first?
Yeah.
What was an artist more motivated by? Actual Westerns, this. Kind of a cool thing, man.
Something really cool about the title music, by the way, is when Mel Brooks was looking for a singer to sing this opening song,
Okay.
he stated he wants someone who is Frankie Lane-esque.
Oh.
And guess who showed up to sing the song? Frankie Lane.
Frankie Lane. Yeah. Okay.
I thought that was pretty cool. Like he's advertising, I'm looking for a singer, someone
Yeah.
Frankie Lane-esque. Frankie Lane shows up, sings the song.
I don't even know who that is.
He sung the opening song for Blazing Saddles.
That's
That's
cool.
great.
Yeah, I thought it was a cool little
That's
thing.
really
That
cool.
is
Yeah.
cool. You guys both mentioned that this was your first time seeing Blazing Saddles. Have you seen other Mel Brooks movies? Please say yes.
I have not.
Oh,
This is my first Mel Brooks movie.
oh, goodness gracious me.
I've seen Young Frankenstein,
Okay.
Spaceballs, and Robin Hood Men in Tights. That's it.
Okay, all right. Well, that's a good four to pick.
And I will
What is this?
never forget the blind guy in Robin Hood Men in Tights reading the porno mag in Braille. Such a great scene.
Yeah.
Cracked me up, man.
Dude,
It's
there
so
are
funny.
countless quotes, moments in Mel Brooks movies that have just been on repeat throughout what seems like my entire life at this point too.
Oh, excuse me.
Hey, speaking of that,
Yeah.
did you
Beans.
did you fellers know that this movie?
Beans for dinner.
Ow.
Oh, sorry, guys.
That's
Oh.
okay.
Oh my gosh, you're lucky, Kolter. You're all the way in Wyoming.
Yeah. Hey, you
Breathe
guys
in
are.
deep, Kolter. You might still smell it.
You guys are the ones trapped in a room together.
Chase likes it.
This was one of the first, if not the first, movie that ever featured not one, but multiple, many farts.
Sorry about that.
What is happening?
I'm having tummy issues.
Oh my.
I'm sorry, Kolter, for so rudely interrupting. You were saying that this is the first movie in the history of the world to ever feature farts. And you're right. This bean scene where the cowboys are all gathered around the campfire and letting them rip. Yeah, A, hilarious. B, the first time farts had ever been heard in a movie.
Yeah.
What?
And that's why the good guys at Warner Brothers didn't want this scene in their movie.
It could be. Forget all the N-bombs and everything else. It was the farts that really.
These damn farts and punching horses.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, yeah.
offensive behavior right there.
Yeah.
While we're on the topic of music, one of the first scenes when the black guy starts singing
Yeah.
and then the cowboys start singing. I don't remember the last time I laughed that hard in a movie. I don't know why that had me so good.
Why don't you sing me a nice song like Camptown Lady?
My favorite part of this whole film, though,
Yeah.
when Bart comes into town and he comes into the police station there, and Jim is there,
Yeah.
who is the deputy, and they're getting to know each other.
Right.
And Bart's like, well, you know, this is my house now. Let me entertain you. What do you like to do?
Sure.
And Jim's like, well, I like to play chess and I like to screw. And Bart gets this look on his face and he goes, let's play chess.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought that was just
Oh, I
brilliant.
love that scene.
I thought that scene was so good.
The movie's full of wonderful little moments between those two characters, man. The time where Bart tries to go out, he's like, hey, I'm going to go win this town over. And he walks out and runs into the old lady who promptly
Oh yeah.
turns him away.
That was insane. I was so caught off guard.
It's so like,
That was one of those moments where I was like, well,
what just happened? And then he
it was
goes
just
back.
so shocking.
Oh, yeah. He goes back.
I loved
He's-
it.
He's all defeated and despondent. And Jim, the Waco kid's telling him, he's like, hey, what did you expect? These are simple folks. These are farmers, morons. It's almost like that scene was improvised or something. Bart's like, kind of staring despondently just past the camera as Jim's telling him that. And then he just kind of lets out this chuckle like he didn't anticipate what Gene Wilder was about to say, man. It's just this kind of cute little moment between the two of them that just works.
Yeah, there was a lot of chemistry between their characters.
Yeah.
So funny.
And then later in the film, that same lady's getting beat up. Those guys roll into town on the horses, and they're just like punching her as hard as they can in the
Slugging her in the
stomach, just like slugging this old lady. There was lots of funnies in this movie.
Lots
There
of
was
funnies.
Lots of funnies
Lots
in
of
this movie.
gigglies for me.
Yeah, it's funny, man. The humor kind of ranges from like sophomoric and juvenile to pretty sophisticated, man. It's funny. Like I can't imagine sitting down trying to write a movie like this and just trying to figure out what kind of joke to put in here and which way to go with this gag or this joke. It really is brilliant.
Yeah, I go back and watch comedies from 70s, 60s, 50s, and a lot of the time, the humor just doesn't work for me.
Yeah, okay.
It just feels so old. It's like, oh, I was supposed to laugh right there?
Yeah.
Like,
right. Yeah.
Like I didn't, it just doesn't work.
Yeah.
But this movie worked so well.
Oh, yeah.
So, Chase, having not seen this movie, what were your expectations going into it?
I knew you guys were excited about Mel Brooks.
Yeah.
And I literally had zero expectations. I had no idea. I didn't even know it was a satire movie.
Okay. All right.
So this film was not on my radar at all. And a good listener of the show, Lynette, asked us to review Blazing Saddles.
Okay.
And I was like, all right, sure, yeah. So we throw it on. And within just a couple minutes, I thought she was trying to sabotage us. I thought she was trying to get us canceled. I was like, oh my goodness, how are we going to podcast on this?
Yeah.
And as the movie goes on, and like you say,
Yeah.
the message of the movie starts to come through.
Oh, yeah.
Although
Yeah.
there's lots of racism in the movie, the message of the movie is very anti-racist.
Very much.
Yeah.
As that starts to come through, I started to get more comfortable, started to find myself laughing more. And this movie really surprised me.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. And shout out to
Yeah.
Lynette. Good pick.
Yeah, great pick.
Yeah.
There is one thing I really don't like about this movie, though,
Okay.
other than the racial slurs, which are uncomfortable for me. I mean, I know they're a part of the movie for a reason, but it's still uncomfortable for me.
Yeah.
When they break the fourth wall.
Yeah. Really?
What's your opinion on actors breaking the fourth wall in movies?
It depends. Like, it really depends. It's this,
Yeah, I agree.
I can't remember when it was kind of came to be, but that style of like that mockumentary where it's documentaries, there's always that breaking the fourth wall. And at least in a lot of them where somebody would look to the camera or at least they acknowledge that they're being recorded. It's there. You've got The Office, you've got Parks and Rec, where that kind of became this like cheeky component of stuff like that. In a straight up narrative film, it's always a little bit odd. It either kind of works or it doesn't. It's like, I think a film as blatant as this and what it's trying to say and what it's trying to do.
That was Chase.
Jeez.
I was hoping he'd just keep talking.
Yeah.
Let's keep it going.
You got to cover it with a
come on.
sneeze or a cough or something. I think it's for something as silly as this, it works just fine. It's always a bit risky, I think, but I think it only works in comedy, and it kind of only works in comedies like this, if that makes sense.
The only place it's ever worked for me was Looney Tunes.
Really?
Yeah.
That's the only place ever.
That's the only. I don't know that I've ever seen a movie where they break the fourth wall where I'm like, yeah, that worked. Yeah, I'm into it.
I liked it in this movie. I loved it. I thought it was great.
Every time, I'm just like, not funny, dumb. Come on. Be more
I
creative.
was surprised that the Warner Brothers allowed them to make this film and break the fourth wall at the studio and kind of laugh at the whitewashed industry.
Yeah, sure.
Like that's what I saw the scene was doing, is that it was like blurring the line between a satire film and reality.
Yeah, definitely.
And
that's a great point.
Yeah, I loved it. I thought it was funny.
Yeah, I think because the range of humor is so broad in this, that it's meant to be so silly that it kind of, not everybody has the same taste, but pretty much anybody can watch this movie and find something funny somewhere in it.
The scene where the horses are all riding into the town at the very end, and there's the biker gang on horses. Did you catch that? There's this biker gang, and they're all on horses, and yet there's motorcycle handlebars, like ape hangers on the horses. So good. I don't know how you don't laugh at that. That's so good. Brilliant.
Oh, yeah.
Comedy
really
right there. Gold comedy.
Yeah.
Or when they set up that fake town to distract the guys. Right. And then they're able to shoot the explosive from super far away. And then you see the horse fly into the air.
Horses go flying like 80 feet in the air.
They can do that. The production studio won't have an issue. But if you punch one, there's the problem. Blow them up all you want.
Yeah, can't do that
so
shit.
Funny.
That wasn't a real horse being punched.
I think it was a real horse being punched.
Really?
I mean, I don't know that he really punched it, but that was a real horse. Yeah, I think it went
real.
down.
Oh, yeah, it went down. Yeah.
That was no cardboard cutout, my friends. That was a real horse.
Dude, they also did a lot crazier shit with animals in film back then that they don't do that stuff anymore.
Who was that? That wasn't me. Was that you, Kolter?
It was me. Yeah.
Guys, it sounds like we need to rest our sphincters. Let's rate this film and get out of here.
Oh, my God. Oh, it was fun. Yeah, I thought it was a fun film. And like what Kolter said, I think most people can watch this film and have some parts that they really laugh at and find funny. I'm not a big comedy guy. I'm confident giving this film 4 farts.
4 farts from Chase. Kolter, how many farts you give it?
Well, fellers, I think this is a legendary, immortal classic. I think it is an epic, unapologetic, comedic masterpiece. I think it hits hard in 1974, and I think it still hits hard today. And for that, it earns a solid 5 farts for me. Gentlemen.
5 farts from Kolter.
5 farts.
Oh, man. Guys, we got to end this quick. This film caught me by surprise. I really enjoyed it. I'm going to also give it 4 farts. But we want to know how you liked it. Please let us know what you thought of Blazing Saddles.
If you enjoyed the satirical humor throughout Blazing Saddles, you should definitely check out Robert Altman's 1992 film, The Player. It takes a more subtle approach with its satirical critique on Hollywood production companies, with many clever references that creatively break the fourth wall into the entertainment industry. Like I said, I'm not a big fan of comedy, but this is a film I cannot recommend enough.
Thank you for listening to Faster Film Critic. After years of being teased, we're finally getting the next film from director Bong Joon-ho, Mickey 17. We're talking about it next week. We cannot wait. You can also follow us on Letterboxd, Cinetrack, and Instagram. Email us at fasterfilmcritic@gmail.com. Hit us up with questions, comments, feedback, or review requests, and please share this episode with your movie-loving friends.